This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning, Bahamas. Good yawning this morning. It's Friday, so that must mean it's Culture Friday on the clock. You're on the clock with Erin, Greene, and on the clock we engage organizations, institutions, social and cultural leaders, and ordinary people to better understand the impact of public policy, private sector development, and emerging social and consumer trends. On the clock, we have conversations that help us understand and navigate a rapidly changing Bahamas. You're tuned into 96.9 FM, but you can also join us because we're streaming live audio and video on GuardianTalkRadio.com. You could listen on TV on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or Flow Channel 612, or download the Guardian Radio app for your Apple or Android smart devices, and listen to our audio feed or watch us on our video feed right there on the Guardian Radio app. You can text us on the Guardian Radio text line. That's 422-4796, 422-4796, and that's powered by BTC, standard text rates apply. You can call us on 323-6232, 323-6232, 325-4316, or 326-4259. Also, did you miss a show? Are you always on the go? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to www.guardiantalkradio.com and clicking the podcast tabs. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you fresh news and smart talk anytime, anywhere, all day. And please check out the podcast. There's some great shows on there already. Levan Miller, Unleash, has been doing his thing. And I think I got some shows that you may want to check out if you missed, including our show featuring the team from the University of the Bahamas Literary Festival, on any of the shows so far in the Culture Friday series, where we've been talking about Junkanoo and highlighting the work of ordinary people and some of the leaders in the Junkanoo space. And today, I have a guest from the Junkanoo space again. And we're going to have an awesome conversation when we get back from the break. Arlington, take us to a quick break. Let me get my foot in order. I got to stretch it before we get into the show. You're listening to 96.9 FM. We will be right back.
For the past 33 years, Great Commission Ministries has been defending the poor and hurting, feeding the hungry, and sheltering the homeless. We invite you to support our Live to Give program and make a difference in these challenging times. Become a donor by giving a one-time annual gift or a monthly donation of $50 or $100. Call Great Commission Ministries at 325-5801 for more details, or visit our headquarters at 237 Wolf Road. Join Live to Give today. This public service announcement is proudly sponsored by this radio station.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Now, that's some sweet, sweet Junkanoo music. There's only one thing wrong with that music, Arlington. It don't say the Spirit. Warriors is a great group, you know, but they ain't as great as the Spirit. So listen, we got a book giveaway this morning. It's our last book giveaway. So I want you to pay attention because I think it's a good one. My guest with me today is Gina Smith, and she's a Junkanoo artisan. And I'm introducing her now because she may want to, make some commentary about this giveaway question. So I think it's a good one, and it's an interesting one. So I hope you guys are ready. Book giveaway number 5. The book is The People's Constitution, composed by Keisha Ellis. I say composed because she didn't write it. It's a layman's interpretation of the Constitution of the Bahamas. It's been compiled in regular language so the average person could get into it and really get a sense of what the document is saying before they delve into the real the technical document with all the legalese. And so we're giving away the last book today. Now, that's not the last book available because you could go to any bookstore in New Providence and find that, including Chapter 1 bookstore, which is across the road from the main campus of the University of the Bahamas. And here is our question. Remember to text in. Do not call in. And please don't call the text line. I'd be tempted to answer it in the middle of the show. Don't do that to me. So here's the question. Dr. Ian Strawn has written several plays and books and made a documentary. And those books include Plantation and Paradise, which is an academic text. I think it includes another book called God's Angry Babies, a novel. He has a number of plays, Diary of Souls, No Seeds in Babylon, and Gunboy Rhapsody, which is one of the more popular plays. But Ian Strawn is also an editor and a documentarian. And so the question today is this. Dr. Ian Strawn edited a collection of essays about a prolific Bahamian. What is that collection of essays entitled, and when was it released? Dr. Ian Strawn has written several plays, books, and even made a documentary. He edited a collection of essays about a prolific Bahamian. What is that collection entitled, and when was it released? And there is a bonus question. The prize is not a book. It is something else, and it's probably good for you like a vegetable. Like it probably could be sweet potato, right? But it's a bonus prize if you give me the name of the documentary that he produced. So the question for the book is, I repeat it, Dr. Ian Strawn has written several plays, books, and even made a documentary. But he also edited a collection of essays about a prolific Bahamian. What is that collection entitled, and when was it released? Bonus question, what is the name of the documentary? Please text in on our text line. That's 422-4796. Don't call in with the answer because you may give away the right answer or you may give a clue with your wrong answer to what the right answer is. Good morning, Ms. Smith. How are you?
Good morning.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know any of the names of Ian Strawn's collections of essays?
No, Mom.
All right, that's okay. Because you'll be busy doing something else, and that's what we come to talk about today. Gina Smith is a Junkanoo artisan. Tell us exactly what it is that you do.
Exactly what I do. I am a ceramist, and I am I call myself a craft artist.
Okay.
I'm a ceramist. I
Tell
design
us. Okay, yeah.
dinnerware, like mugs, cups, saucers, wall pieces, everything almost that is functional that you use in your daily kitchenware or living space. And I give it a flair. It's going to come from 3 streams. It's either going to be cultural, or it's going to be Junkanoo or it's going to be marine.
Okay.
And then I am also artistic when it comes to crafts.
Okay.
So I make costumes on canvas that are actually pasted with crepe paper.
You make costumes on canvas that are made with crepe paper.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that. Not your technical, like, don't tell us your process, because that's sort of a technical secret, but tell us what that looks like.
Okay, for me, the whole idea of my Junkanoo dinnerware and what I've just recently discovered is when people come to the Bahamas and they experience the art form and the music and the good feeling of our culture or a portion of our culture, for some reason, they can take something tangible
Home with them.
back home with them. My whole concept was many years ago when I went to Junkanoo. After Junkanoo, I saw the tourists picking up the pieces off the ground to take home. And I was like, how can I make this available to them, but also be practical? And so that's where the Junkanoo dinnerware came from, because it's functional, but it reminds them of their experience, and it also promotes our culture. The art form or the craft form of me putting the actual costume on canvas, for a lot of us, I've noticed recently that just how we build in Junkanoo by using the cardboard and all of that, that could be a little difficult when you're trying to transport that or carry it. But if we can put it on canvas, you could roll it up and you could take it. You could still get that feel. You could still have that look. And so that is why I ventured into that part of developing and designing.
Right. So I'm part of a scrap group, the greatest scrap group in the history of Junkanoo, so the people know. But the group was composed of a number of Bahamians that lived abroad and would come home for Junkanoo time. And so I started making small scrap pieces for those people, so that when they got home, because some people would fly in boxing the New Year's, Christmas Eve, right? That's how short the timeline they had. So I would make little small pieces like armbands and headbands, because you need crepe paper. Can't just go with your instruments. You got to have some piece of costume on to go on bay.
Right.
And then I thought about making, sort of mass producing on a small scale pieces to sell to tourists that I buck on the road at Junkanoo, right? But then apparently you need a license. Like, you have to be very legitimate to be doing these things. I wasn't on that run. So, I shifted my energies and I started making ties, right? For our Junkanooers, because you could just slip it on, slip it off, but you could also take it after the parade and hang it up.
Yes.
Right? And so now I see, featured a few months ago, we even have local artisans making fashion pieces using the crepe paste technique. And they figured out how to waterproof or weatherproof their crepe paper application. I don't want you to give me your technical secret, but have you moved that far along in your process?
Yeah. Many moons ago, my method of testing the crepe paper and the preserving of it, when my kids were small, I used to, but my very first time when I actually did a trade show, I made lampshades and I pasted the lampshades and put the tricks and everything, the trimming on it. And then I used a product to seal it. And I was testing it to see if it was going to run the crepe paper or if it was going to preserve it. And to this day, I still have those lampshades.
Wow.
My kids are 24 and 23 and 18.
Wow.
And so it still has that, durability, that lifelong. And so I made lampshades out well, using the regular lampshade,
Yeah.
but pasting it.
Yeah.
And then preserving it.
Wow. See, today, when you told me you make ceramics and I think tablecloths and other things,
Yes.
I thought about functional art, right? Functional art refers to aesthetic objects, that's objects that are pleasant to the eye or to the ear, right? That serve a utilitarian purpose, that is to foster pleasure. So these are pretty things that are intended to make us feel good, right? And sort of bring happiness. And it encompasses everything from furniture and lighting to dishes and even books. And then I found this definition for something called directly functional art, right? And that's the art that we use on a daily basis and serves a literal or tangible function in our lives. And that made me think, when you were growing up, did you have one room in the house that you weren't allowed to go into unless there was company or the pastor stopped by or if it was time for you to clean it, right?
Yes.
You did as well.
Yeah, definitely. You were not told why you couldn't go in there, and then sometimes you didn't even want to go in because it was so protective with plastic. It was so off limit. You didn't even want to get in trouble to go in there.
Right.
I've even seen homes where people put down a beautiful carpet, and then they put plastic over the carpet.
Yeah, because you can't walk on that. And that for me, right, like that always stunned me. Why put carpet down if I can't walk on it, right? And so I realized that Bahamians know what functional art is, right? We know what things are pleasing and why we have them there. But they don't care that it's functional, right? So I used to collect ashtrays and secondhand things, beautiful little trinkets. And practically every single thing I brought into my house and tried to use as an ashtray, my mother looked at me and said, "Oh no, that is so beautiful. We're going to have to use that to put keys in or change in, And she understood how functional it was as an ashtray, but she didn't care.
Yeah, they want to keep it and preserve it. Like I was explaining to you earlier, that my grandmother caused me to want to use everything that comes into my house. Every room has to be used because my grandfather worked for the Duchess and Duke of Windsor. And when my grandmother got married, they gave them china and teapots and, so many things. And as soon as they gave it to them, they placed it in a closet, a china closet. And to this day, it is still there. You're not allowed to touch it. You could stand from a distance and you could take a look at it. And for the younger generation, they don't even see the value in it. They walk past and they say, "Oh my God, look at that design," but it is preserved and it's not allowed to be used.
Yeah.
Ever.
Now, as I have a similar thing. As an advocate, I collect T-shirts from trips I make and organizations I visit. I hang them up in my closet, and I don't wear them because I want them to last forever as a reminder of that experience. And maybe one day to create a collection as an advocate to show my career. Well, my mother has found a source for secondhand T-shirts, right? And in a similar way, while I ascribe a certain value to these things, she sees them as purely functional and doesn't understand why I would not wear them, and more importantly, why I would not allow her to wear them. Right?
But I think it has its place two ways, where it's functional and you can use it or you should use it. And then there's another space where it's valued and it's important. I'll give you an example. When I had my first child, because my grandmother, she bought a towel when I was born. And she took it to the hospital to my mom. And that is the towel that she used for me. And so when I had my first child, she went to that suitcase, pulled out the same first towel that I had, and I was able to use that towel for my first child. So sometimes it has its place or its value. But I think as Bahamians, a lot of things that we keep and then they become not valuable anymore. So I guess it's knowing what is value and sacred and what you can use and, have it functional.
And more importantly, it's important for us to talk with each other across generations, right? And that's not to force our value system on another generation, but to show them why this thing is valuable to us. It may not hold the same esteem for you, but at least you understand the sort of transference of culture.
Yes.
And then when you create now your own culture, you have a foundation to move from. And that's what I say in young people, to move from. We ain't trying to say, listen to the old people get stuck in their ways, but understand why they did what they did.
Yes.
Right? It's like the story with the ham and the young mother who asked her mother, why I cooking the ham, right? But why you cut off the piece of the ham? And the mommy said, I don't know, I get that because Grammy used to cut off the piece of the ham. I gotta go ask Grammy. And Grammy say, I don't know, look here, go call your great grand auntie in Mayagona and ask her, right? And then she laughed and say, oh, although I remember that now, when we used to make the ham, the pan was too small for the whole ham. So you had to cut piece off to cook it. And here we've been for 5 generations wasting a whole good piece of ham because nobody thought it was important to transfer that knowledge.
Right.
Right. And it's a part of why I want to continue to have these types of conversations around arts and culture. We're certainly going to focus on what it is you're doing, but more importantly, why is it important to you? Why is it important to us? What do you have to share with other people? So let's get back into the questions. Are you a full-time artisan and business owner? Is this a part-time passion? And how do you balance your work of creating art and your regular work?
Now, it's part-time for me. There was a time when it was full-time because I had a store in Charlotte Street. That was my first business in Charlotte Street. And then I later moved to East Bay Street with my second store on East Bay Street. And so I was full-time. But now I'm part-time. So I work in the day, and in the evenings when I go home, I develop my craft. On the weekends, I develop my crafts. Anytime there is a holiday or anything of that sort, I
Focus
develop
on your craft.
Yeah, I develop my craft.
A lot of a lot of professionals and young professionals have been lobbying and talking about changing the way that we work, right? Like flexi hours. So maybe I could come in at 6:30 a.m. and end my shift 3 hours earlier, right? Or maybe I could work 4 days a week for longer hours. Or maybe I could work 2 days at home and 3 days in the office, right? Would changes in the way that we work professionally benefit artists and give them more space to focus on their craft?
I think so, because it gives them a base, so you can still have an income coming in, but it also helps you to push your craft as well, to push your business as well. And so it can be dual, and yes, it can work. If we I don't want to say play the cards right, but it can go alongside. You can function that way, but that it's temporary, because when you develop your craft to a point, and that's why I worked full time at one point, because it overtook what I was doing, meaning it became more, not only more important, my craft, but it was more of my passion, what I really wanted to do. And for me, I work because I have to. I have a family to support. But if I had to make a choice, I would sit to a table and create all day.
Yeah. And I think most people would, right? But it's that difficult balance of supporting myself as
financially,
pay those bills. And even as an artisan, you got to figure out how to pay the bills, pay for the things necessary to create your art, like energy. But see, we got a caller on the line. Hey, caller, you're on the clock. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, God, along with you, Erin.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all in, thank God.
Good,
What I
good.
want to ask the lady, right?
Miss Smith, Gina Smith.
Miss Gina Smith,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. You sound good.
Thank
Let me
you.
ask you something. Your artistry, your craft, are your craft a part of UNESCO?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Because what I've noticed, right? The Junkanoo, right? The Junkanoo. I understood that what you would call an establishment has been established with UNESCO, whereby UNESCO would give, if anything were to happen, something like an insurance. If anything were to happen to the pieces, right, to the sharks that are in the sharks and stuff like that, right? UNESCO would chip in there and give some money whereby those pieces would be, replaced. The thing is, now, I have a problem. Listen, I am a charter member of the Saxon Superstars, right? And even though I'm a charter member, I had to my membership. And the thing is, a lot of persons had to do the same thing within the group. But the thing is, most of us, the majority of us, get nothing. You know, we have to pay to have our costume done if we want. We have to help pay to help decorate it, put pieces on it, right? But yet we go out there and rush and stuff like that, and we get nothing. I think certain people shouldn't try to have a monopoly on Junkanoo. You see my point? And that is bad in which they are doing. Now, people like you, I can understand them giving something, for people like you, if your shop was to be burnt or water damage or anything like that. Those people in UNESCO and some of our leaders here in the Bahamas are joking. Thank you.
Now, Bremen, I didn't know you were a charter member of the Saxons, right? I just gave you deference because of your enthusiasm and passion for Junkanoo. It's great to know that, Bremen. My guest is not a Junkanooer, nor is she a formal part of any of the Junkanoo management mechanisms. But that is an interesting point you made about UNESCO. What I do know is the Creative Nassau, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on orange economy and cultural advocacy. Right? I think under UNESCO, New Providence or Nassau City has been declared a heritage site, right? I didn't know about the available to cultural artisans. And so a question I guess I want to ask you is, are there enough artisans, people sort of making Junkanoo art, whether functional or sort of decorative, are there enough artisans, you think, to warrant an association to negotiate for things like that, right? For recognition of Junkanoo art as a particular category of art that warrants a particular type of insurance protection. Because if it's lost, it will be, we're talking about a loss of culture, not just a loss of product. Do you think there are enough artists to warrant that? And do you think artists are thinking in that way?
I would say that, yes, they're thinking in that way, because when I first started, it wasn't necessarily because I associated myself with Junkanoo, but as an artist for years. And there may be one or two small groups that have, come together to try to preserve certain things or to advance, certain things. But when I first started, there was a group of us that tried to come together to have a voice and to put forward things that would help or advance what we were doing. Not necessarily Junkanoo, but it never took off. It never took place because for some reason we just couldn't come together and be one and support one another.
Yeah.
When I first started, it was probably me and another person. But I noticed over the years, the Junkanoo art and it has been added to every year. And I think one of the reasons is because of avenues or opportunities to showcase what it is that we have. So I think the more that we have that platform to showcase what it is that we do, more and more people would gravitate towards it. Now, the coming together, how many of us are there? I'm not sure. But I am sure that no matter if it's 2 or 3 persons, if we are on one accord, we can do anything. There is strength and there is power in unity. And so we could advocate for certain things, no matter how small the group is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could come together on it.
Right, because I'm sure that artisans would benefit from bulk purchasing, right? With being able to buy in bulk certain materials that everybody uses, right? Or even to work as a body to lobby for exemptions on the importation of machinery and certain types of tools that are specific to your trade. But I got 2 callers on the line. I'm getting to you right, caller, but I want to say to my competition participants, remember the question is, Dr. Ian Strawn has written several plays, books, and even made a documentary. He edited a collection of essays about a prolific Bahamian man. What is that collection entitled? I see a number of answers here, but you don't have the full title. I would really like the full title of the vibe of the collection of essays. And the bonus question, what is the documentary called? Producer, I'm ready for that caller. Caller, you're on the clock.
Good morning.
Hi,
good morning,
morning.
Erin.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning, Erin. Good morning to
Miss Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning.
Gina.
Good morning.
Still there? Oh, man, I'm so sorry, caller. It seems we've lost you. Please call back. Caller, you're on the clock.
Hey, Erin, how you doing?
Good morning. How you do?
I'm always doing fine. Good morning to your guest and your producer.
Good morning.
Hey, you're pretty ways doing. You take Erin Greene play sometime, eh?
Man, look here. It's International Women's Month. You want us to come and come just marry you. That's what you want.
How you know it's fine. But I was listening to the young lady talking about the Junkanoo and the artwork of it, and it sounded like you're the perfect person to start this Junkanoo market thing we talk about, Erin.
Well, like she said just now, she has already earlier attempted to get artisans like herself to organize, as a group. And she spoke of the potential of it. So you're right. I think she understands the environment and some of the elements necessary to foster positive changes.
And the market.
Yeah.
And I've been pushing this for decades because I used to be a part of Junkanoo, and I used to be a part of the PACEN. No PACE, but I used to be a part of the coordination of the PACEN. When we have the whistle wheels in the wheelchair. And I always look at the potentials we have in making money. And I hate to see these things on Bay Street when you finish all over the place. We can make money of it. Because Bremen mentioned Nesco. We already, I think a show is done. We already register.
Right.
With Nesco, so that part is straight. No one can copy that. But now we need to take our copy and copy money from it.
Well, yeah. Well, now that we have sort of protected our cultural product legally, now we have to find, I'm going to say, ethical and sustainable ways to use that product to create income-generating mechanisms to support both individual artisans and particular arts and culture communities.
I mean, the straw industry, because I deal in the straw industry, and our compliment got it from my grandmother and my grandaunt. We know what the straw industry have done.
And what it can do.
Called handworks.
Yeah.
Various straw, various plat hats, or what have you. So this is similar to that
Yeah.
market.
But listen, I got a question for you. I got to get to another caller.
Sure.
Stay on tuned in because I think this question you're going to like.
You want me to stay on or you want
No,
me?
stay tuned into the show. I got to get to this next caller. Yeah.
But bring this lady back on, man.
I will do because we only hit 3 of the questions out of 15.
And I got to look for a sponsor for your show for 2 hours.
Man, look here. This
Your
2
show
hour
is more
thing.
important than anybody's show.
You see, you around here talking about marriage and want me on the air for 2 hours. How I can keep a house? How I can keep a house? This don't make any sense.
I want you to go network.
I thank you, and I
Have a good
received
day.
that. I received that. Thank you. Producer, we ready for the next call? Caller, you're on the clock. Good. Caller, you're on the clock. Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, ma'am. And you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, and good morning to your guest, Gina.
Good morning.
Gina's doing such a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I need to applaud the work that she's doing. This is Jackie, Gina.
Yes, I identify your voice. Thank
Yes,
you.
continue to keep up the great work. And Erin,
Yes.
as it relates to your collection of T-shirts, can I give you an idea, ma'am?
Yes, please.
I saw something some time back about using those, just using whatever part of that T-shirt you like. If it's the diagram or the logo or whatever, you can make it into a quilt.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some persons have done that as a collection. I think that's a great way as a keepsake.
Absolutely, and it would be another wonderful item for my mother to take from me and display in the house.
And frame it.
Right, because,
You can display it in your room. You can find a room and secure that room for your keepsake.
yes,
That would
absolutely.
be your little museum.
I hope so. I hope so. And I hope that in this conversation about what we value and how we how we show that value, right? That families sort of change the way we think about sharing space and allow young people to showcase the cultural things that have value to them as well.
Exactly, and I am a proponent and believe in keeping heirlooms. I believe that those are intentional things, certain things that you hold and you prize. My parents both of them always told us that what's important to you will always be important to your children and your children's children. Mm-hmm. And there are certain things that we just gotta keep passing it on in an intentional, focused way. And I want to applaud you, Erin, for the great work that you're doing and through your framework on this talk show, especially as it relates to our culture and everything else. And I want you to see, I could just see the boardwalk out there by Prince George, straight along from the fish fries, straight along the back there. I could just see the artisans. I could just see the booming. The Heman work showcase every art, every part of our culture, everything, from even selling the jujus and the plums and the canap and the ingenious cups and plates, whatever. Let's go after that. I would love to hear from Pam and Ali and those on this orange economy, what's really happening with that, and as government push to, we want to see our people out there. We people coming to our country, they want to experience us, we the people.
Thank you so much.
You did a great job. God bless.
Thank you. And so I guess my one of my last questions I had to touch on what our previous caller had mentioned. Is there a space for functional art in the tourism sector? Can artists...
If you'd like to make a call, please hang...
Can artists and artisans negotiate like the agricultural sector is doing right now with hoteliers and the cruise industry, to commit to buying and using a percentage of Bahamian-made art and products on their properties, right? But I want to take it a step further. Let's go beyond local art on the property. Do you think local artisans in hotels and cruise ships can partner to produce festivals that combine art, style, and design and culture to grow the local and regional tourism products?
Yes. There are a few festivals that promote that. Let me say, my Junkanoo dinnerware, it is just a tip of the list of things that I have that you can actually do with Junkanoo. I have a whole list of ways that you can use the concept to bring wealth.
Right.
But we have to have an open mind. When I first started, I went from business to business. I went from hotel to hotel. Not only to sell as a souvenir, but in the restaurants for you to use the dinnerware.
Right.
To put food on.
Right.
I've been to tea companies. I've been to different places that, you could use the mugs.
Yeah.
You can use the mugs. You can use the dinnerware. There's so much of it that you can use. There are festivals. There are a few places that promote the local artisans and what they do, but there's not enough.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen, I don't drink alcohol, right? Because I'm a hasty. And my grandmother told me I couldn't drink until I was 35. And by 35, I forgot what alcohol was, right? But imagine if you went to visit Arawaki, you went to Fish Fry, and you ordered a calic, right? And they tell you for $5 you could get that's the fancy price. For $4 you could get your calic in a bottle, frosty cold. But for $20 you could get your calic in a locally made beer mug, right? With a Junkanoo or a marine or another cultural design on it. People can pay $20 for that mug.
I agree.
And yeah, go on.
I have a mug that I call the cowbell mug. It has a cowbell handle. That was one of the first things that I started with. And trying to sell the idea of using it. Well, I had to end up telling people that it can take a whole can of soda, right?
Right.
You could put your soda in there and you could, use it for your soda. But that is a good concept. And I thought about that. But to get to the companies, to sell them the idea, because I thought about the collect bear and use the collect mug, but it's so difficult to get into some of these institutions to sell these ideas because, listen, I have been many places trying to get my items in. At some levels, they were receiving, some not. I was told when I first started that I was beyond my years. I was beyond my time.
Yeah.
The timing wasn't right. And so I had to pull back because it was too much of a fight for me.
Yeah.
And so I had to pull back. At that time, I had dinnerware, I had tablecloths, I had beach towels, I pasted gift bags, like an actual gift bag with crepe paper. Like I said, I had lampshades, napkins, so many things.
Right, you could buy. See, I know this shop, right? I know this shop. And if you're trying to buy a Father's Day gift, right? Or for the man in your life, you could get them Androsia boxer shorts. You could get them an Androsia undershirt. You could get them Androsia shorts or cargo pants or long pants, a button-down shirt, Androsia suspenders, Androsia bow tie or regular necktie, and Androsia cufflinks. And you could come to me and you could get an Androsia pasted hat to match it, right? But so what you're talking about is imagine a wedding registry. Right, a bridal registry. I don't know nothing about getting married. A bridal registry, and every item comes from a collection of locally produced cultural artisans.
And that was one. That was one of my ideas. It was not just for it to be Junkanoo and just colorful out there, but I wanted it to also be a part of the registry. I wanted to design, and I have been lately designing in an effort that I attract more than one market. It is still cultural, it's still Junkanoo, but it is classy. So I learned how to, growing up, the guy mentioned about the Saxons. I had two uncles that rushed for the Saxons, and I used to get paid $5 to paste their pants. Right?
What?
And that's back in the day when
$5 was $1 billion?
Yeah. And that was back in the day when you had to mix the flour and the water and put a little bit of oil in it to do, to do the pants. And I had to learn how to lay that crepe paper. And because I remembered that, I've now developed a technique in the clay that I can fringe it. I can give it a look to make it look fringe. There is so many things that can be done. Even we mentioned about the straw. I recently used the plat straw on the clay. So now my next collection, which will be the cultural side of it, you will see that you have the design of the plat on the dinnerware. And so it's so many things that can be done
Absolutely.
with Junkanoo and with
Look here,
culture.
I got a caller on the line. Caller, I come into you, and when I finish with you, I got to call Joy Gibralou at Ministry of Tourism and ask them if they having destination weddings, why don't they have a destination registry where these people can purchase gifts made for them, whether from a sort of mass-produced batch of goods or to commission artists for specific guests to create a collection for their wedding. Absolutely. Anyway, let's get to this caller as we wrap up the show. Caller, you're on the clock.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm listening to your talk show.
Thank you.
Greene, yes, there is, Spazy, I guess, is also how you brand your stuff, how you package it, or, all of that is, what could I say, exciting to the eyes. Because even though your stuff may be beautiful, and it's with what you do, but how you package it, it causes people to be drawn even closer to you, and how you brand it, you know what I'm saying? All of that is a part of business. And then also what I would like to say, Ms. Greene, is I believe that the government or those in the artistry industry could start off with could have a hub or a place where different stores, and how you were talking about the wedding, that's a big industry in itself, could come and ascertain these different businesses that are credible. I don't know if you know about that. The lady that, I don't know, she's still out in the States. She acted as a hub for so many different businesses. I don't know if you know about how
businesses.
People would use her listing.
Well, listen, thank you very much. So I definitely got to go to the Ministry of Tourism, right, and figure out,
if you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
consular
If you need
offices-
help, hang up and then...
Boy, listen, I gonna need some help because I found out where one tamarind tree is. So thank you for that, producer. But, is there an officer or is there a function, a unit within the consular offices, right? Non-government offices stationed abroad that focus on potential placement of locally produced products in particular markets?
Yeah, there are, because when I let me just say something on the packaging. I spent a whole year preparing my packaging before I released it.
And let me add this: packaging is one of the most expensive parts of any production
It
process.
is. I had to bring it because, for me, my concept and how I wanted it display, I knew that was important. And so I made sure that my packaging was done. What I did over this COVID time was rebrand. And so I have rebrand my company. Let me also say that I started out being connected to the Ministry of Tourism. I appeared on the Ministry of Tourism Today, numerous times. I had a poster in the Ministry of Tourism about my business. I was in the magazine in the plane, you name it.
Yeah.
I was a part of their shows. My dinnerware was given as a state gift from Miss Universe when they had it here in the Bahamas.
Yes.
So I was out there, and I did the work what I needed to do. There was one particular person in the Atlanta office in the U.S. that always called for gifts. And the Ministry of Tourism did it as well, because they used to call me and say, hey, I got a group coming in, and we need X amount of products. And so they do it. They do it. But is there somebody in place now that really push and promote it? So that's important.
Yeah.
It's been done in the past, but how functional is it now?
Yes.
You see?
So, Gina Smith, thank you very much for joining me today. We are chock out of time. And like the caller said, I obviously have to have you back on for a part 2 of this discussion. I'd like to thank Cultural Experience Productions for assisting me in finding you as a guest today. And Cultural Experience Productions is an experienced entity in cultural project management, development, and production. And I'd like to thank Angelique McKay for working with me on this project. I brought the questions, but you brought the answers. And it's always heartening to know that even in our artist community, we have world-level thinkers and doers and critical thinkers that are investing their energy in their art, not just for their personal satisfaction, but because of a commitment to a national cultural development. I'm definitely going to have you back on because we didn't even get to the question. Let's talk about the importance of arts and culture classes and cultural movements in primary school, high school, and our adult lives. So get ready for that. Before we end the show, I've got to announce my book giveaway winner. The question was a relatively easy one. We definitely got a winner, even though they didn't give me the full title of the collection of essays. So the question was, Dr. Ian Strawn has written several plays, books, and made a documentary. He edited a collection of essays about a prolific Bahamian. What is it titled? It is entitled Poitiers Revisited, Reconsidering a Black Icon in the Age of Obama, and it was released in 2014. That is Poitiers Revisited, Reconsidering a Black Icon in the Age of Obama. And the reason I wanted the full title is I wanted you all to know this wasn't just a Bahamian bigging up a Bahamian for being Bahamian's sake. This is an introspection on not just a Bahamian cultural icon, but a world and global cultural icon, and how he has shaped our perception of the past, but also modern times, and how our understanding of his work can help us shape our future. And so the winner of that of the competition, cell number begins 242821. That's 242821, and I will contact you after the show to tell you how you can pick up your book. Some of the texts we got today. Good morning. You pay to have your costume decorated and pasted when you refuse to do it yourself. I'm a woman, and from the 5th grade in Walter Parker Primary, Mrs. Knowles taught me to paste. I've now transferred that into a small and very lucrative seasonal business. People who pay are those who are unable to make their own costumes. Yes, and then some of the people who pay mothers or working mothers are so busy trying to balance life and work that they have a little cash. And paying other people to pay helps to support the Junkanoo community, right? And spread the money around a little bit. And that's a good thing. So, Ms. Smith, I'm definitely going to have you back. And I think the thing I want to end the show with is this. Bahamian artisans, think about unionizing, creating a formal grouping so that you can discuss ideas and grow your space as a collective, but more importantly, so that you can lobby the government and the arts community and the global cultural community for access to subventions and support and resources. And so that most of all, you could support each other and show Bahamians how important you all are. Anyway, it's been a full show. Thank you very much, Gina Smith, for joining us today. And we're going to take this moment to shake a leg. If you are driving your car, do not shake your leg. Keep it on the brakes. Keep it on the brakes. Have a great day, Bahamas. You've been tuned into 96.9 FM. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. I'm going out there to see if I could shake a leg with Levon Miller, because he is up next with Unleashed on 96.9 FM. Have a great day, Bahamas.